Riz is a cold character, so let's talk about it. I like how they introduced Riz. They introduced him as this gentle giant, this colossal titan type shit who just couldn't stop anybody out. He was a really cool guy to be around. Riz had that really good energy around him. He was like the dad off of the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears. Whichever world you grew up in, there's World 1, World Line 2, and Mandela Effect. Riz was a very genuine character. He really was on the side of the herbivores. Well, that was his facade that he had on, but even when tensions were high on campus and the lights went out and all the carnivores could see in the dark, but the herbivores couldn't, it was cool to see how he was the one protecting the herbivores and shit. Cause really easy to see how Riz started a chain reaction that created the plot of the series. Riz is the plot of the series. He's the one who started everything, really. He eats Tim. And then after that, it creates this ripple effect that affected the relationship between carnivores and herbivores on campus. And this created a shift in the local society around the back alley market. And this also shifted the sentiments around how people, not even people, how the herbivores viewed the carnivores. You can even take a look at the lion dude who was a mayor. He had to do that whole plastic surgery thing just to look presentable, just to be a likable person, because he looked too ferocious as being a regular lion. He caused this chain reaction that started the plot, but he also is the reason why Legosi is as cold as he was by the end of the series. He is the person who kind of pushed Legosi to dive into his more animalistic and ferocious side. Because Legosi, he lived his whole life trying to act like a sheep when he was a wolf. It was a cool thing to watch. That scene when Riz is protecting all the herbivores in the dark is really cool to look at that scene and then compare it to the scene in the city when there was that power outage and the whole back alley market was being exposed. And Lewis was talking on the news talking about, oh, we need to give the carnivores meat. We need to let the carnivores be carnivores. This is why things are the way they are, because we're not allowing the carnivores to be them true selves and things like that. So Riz, he is the plot. I like to say that Riz is the plot, bro. Whenever I talk about Beastars, I like to say he caused the plot. Let's talk about those strength inhibiting drugs that Riz was taking. And the reason I like to say that shit is cold is because it did two things. It showed how cold and strong Riz was, and also showed a little bit about the world. It's like some world building shit. The government had their hands in everything, and how the government was probably really herbivore run. A herbivore is really politically correct. They don't pose any danger, and they're seen as the victim a lot. Take a look at our world. A lot of PC shit is happening now, where we have more representation in advertisements and media and also in government. It looks good and it's really progressive, but at the same time the effects of it are detrimental for people who are seen as non-PC or people who are seen as a threat or as a natural threat, like Riz himself, a 2-meter tall brown bear. That is great for some reason. But you get what I'm saying, that is a 2-meter brown bear. That is a villain right there. A guy who wants to eat some meat and also wants to drink some honey. And he had to take them strength inhibiting drugs because he could not even hold an egg. Him holding the egg will automatically break it. He could bend spoons, break door handles without even trying. Riz is a demon. And it's cool that they had to do that whole strength inhibiting thing because it gave us a glimpse into what other facets of this society are kind of being controlled and suppressed. It wouldn't be crazy to assume that herbivores and carnivores can't play sports together sometimes, or there's just some sports that get no viewership from herbivores because it's just way funner to watch herbivores play. You remember when that Black Panther accidentally broke the arm or chopped the arm off that herbivore in the drama club? That was some wild shit. It showed us that naturally they are not equal physically, but social constructs do not reflect reality. And Beastars demonstrates that concept perfectly. I also like to compare Riz to Bill. I think Riz is a really good foil to Bill. They're both carnivores. They're both in that whole drama club and shit. They're really similar in that way. They have a lot of similarities. But the difference between Bill and Riz is they both kind of dived into their animalistic instincts. They both dabbled with predation. It's just that the difference between Bill and Riz is Bill is more conservative about it. Riz is nah, let me get that leg. Let me get that chicken leg. If the tables turned, Bill would have been a really good leader for a revolution for carnivores to kind of take over society and be given more acceptance. If there's I like to compare it to a movement. There's a feminist movement. Bill would be good for a carnivore movement, or what would be called a meatist movement. Pause. You know what I'm saying? He's level-headed. He's very realistic. He sees the world in a very realistic way, and he's not scared to take a risk. Like, he went to the back alley market and ate that junkie's finger. That's some wild shit. What if that junkie was digging boogers? The nigga bit his finger, takes that herbivore booger, the saltiness of dehydration and grime, bruh. And he ate that shit like a champ. And that nigga was souped. And then he took that blood. Like, I fuck with Bill because he reminds me also of like a preppy white kid that goes to school and he gets everything paid for him, you know? You know, he's always dabbling to drugs. He's like, he knows everybody. He's charismatic type shit. You feel me? Like, Bill gives me that same vibe, but instead of being like a sheep, like that cliche white kid rich stoner, he's usually a sheep. He's usually a follower. But Bill, he seems a lot like a leader, and that's why I fuck with his character. He's like a leader. Riz, on the other hand, that nigga's a demon. That nigga Riz is a demon. Like, remember first episode, nigga was running Tim down. Even though that shit not really too funny. Thinking back on it, Riz is the demon. Like, every other carnivore, like, look at Legosi. Every other carnivore is like walking on eggshells around herbivores and shit and really trying to show them that I'm not a threat. This nigga Riz said, fuck that shit. Give me that nigga Tim. Where that nigga Tim at? Running that nigga down in an empty school. That's gotta be the scariest thing in the world just to witness or to experience, bro. Like a grizzly bear. And like the thing is, Riz and Tim were really good friends. Tim accepted Riz for who he was. So even right before Riz was gonna actually predate him and eat him, Tim was all like, I accept you for who you are, please, type shit. But Riz still ate that nigga. That shit was kind of sad. Like when they did that whole, cause at first, you know, episode 1, because I watched season 1, then I read the manga. Episode 1, you don't know who it was, but you could kind of deduce who it could possibly be. It just has to be a large predator, a large carnivore. Beastars start off in medias res, or in the midst of things. They start off with a bunch of action that pulled you in, and that chase down scene of Tim was later explained in the manga, and to see how it was really Riz and how Tim was conflicted and even feeling mad at Riz, because it was like, damn, like, Riz really wants to eat me right now, and there's nothing I can really do about it because I'm a herbivore, and there's nothing he can really do to stop himself because he already has the natural instinct to predate within him. But now we gotta talk about this Legosi and this Riz dynamic. It's a code dynamic. Legosi is the first one to put 2 and 2 together that Riz is the one who dropped off Tim. And it's cool to see how they battle it out in the drama club, not trying to let anybody know, but also being very upfront about it though. Like if you had a brain cell, you would have known what was going on. I'm pretty sure Pina knew what was going on. It's just been so long, so I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure Pina had a decent idea. The niggas who have a decent idea, or the niggas who have a really realistic take on the world, are really cool with carnivores. Like look at Haru with like Legosi and Lewis, or look at how Tim was fucking with Riz, or I mean how Peanuts messed with Riz, and little Lewis is just the head of a lion pack, and that's some hard shit. All the niggas with a really realistic view on the world fuck with everybody, and it's cool to see, and it's actually in their favor, because since the carnivores see that a herbivore understands them, they almost protect them. They see them as like a prize. Like I said before, Riz started the plot, and with that, he's the one who kind of forced Legosi to get code. Legosi went from this shy kid from Cheriton Academy to, when he shaved off all of his fur, he was this gray, sinister looking wolf, like some Joker shit. He was clean looking, and he developed a lot as a character. Like that time period from leaving the academy, or not leaving the academy, from initially figuring out what Riz truly was to fighting Riz, that was a huge jump in Legosi as a character. Oh yeah, and I said this earlier, but the second thing I want to talk about when it comes to this Legosi and Riz dynamic is Legosi was finally able to dip his toes into his true self, his true animalistic gray wolf self. Legosi finally let his claws show and his fangs show. Every shonen has that getting code arc, you know, that training arc. Riz forced Legosi to get code to be able to combat him. We get to meet cool people, and we also get to see cool things. That pulls us into the society of the back alley market, how slave thing going on with human trafficking of animals, that herbivore trafficking thing where, you know, Lewis himself was a victim of, and then we get to see how there's shops with white rabbits like Haru, and that bugs him. Literally 2 blocks away, there's a bustling society where herbivores and carnivores are shaking hands, and it's crazy. Like that was a journey that they took from Cheriton Academy to the back alley market to that eventual fight between Riz and legosi. We have to talk about the fall of Riz. Riz is a tale of how the lack of discipline will lead you towards temptation. He was tired of this shitty ass, processed ass food that we're forced to eat as a carnivore. Since Riz was so enamored by what would be the taste of a herbivore, he threw away real friendship with Tim. He threw away his reputation. He threw away his life. Because we can all assume that in a society like this, where herbivores are the head of everything, predation is not going to lead you towards success. And Riz also threw away his innocence at that point, because you can never go back from that. Being able to eat Tim came at a huge cost. For that second or for that minute, he was in pure nirvana. But after that, everything else became tasteless. He'll never be satisfied until he gets his next fix. This could be herbivore blood like what Bill had, or this could be a whole animal itself. Riz saw his life as a suppressed carnivore as unsatisfactory, so he took it upon his own hands to make it satisfactory. And the ironic thing is, before he lacked happiness, and I think afterwards he only lacked more happiness. Because in a society where eating herbivores is taboo, there will never be a scenario that plays out to where you will get your fill. I guess what Riz's character is telling us is, what drives you probably won't make you happier once attained. Because right now Riz is still in the juvenile detention hall, and ironically Pina, another herbivore, is the only one who even visits him. Riz's code and his actions played a huge role in how the plot progressed, from the evolution of legosi into the ripple effect that later put an end to the back alley market. Riz, in the eyes of many, committed a mortal sin, a gravely sinful act. But this act led to the progression that we needed for carnivores to be finally on the same playing field as herbivores, where a true change can finally be made, where carnivores no longer have to hide their claws, their fangs, their views, and their recent transactions. But hey, I appreciate y'all niggas for watching. This is definitely a different video. This is unscripted, and I kind of wanted to post it as a discussion rather than a video essay. I kind of just found a character I really wanted to talk about, and that character just happened to be Riz from Beastars. And Riz from Beastars is a cold, demonic guy, but I don't know, I can't help but like Riz a bit. But yeah, man, stay tuned, because I got a lot of other type of content dropping. Similar to this, but for other series. You're gonna have some Promised Neverland, some Claymore, probably some Berserk if I ever finish it. Well, I may just end up live streaming Berserk, knocking it all out the way, so I can start making videos about Berserk, because Berserk is definitely cold and I want to talk about it. I still have videos lined up, I just never got to complete for Attack on Titan. Those will come on the way. And of course more Beastars videos. I may talk about the end of the Platinum Man, who knows. But hey, appreciate y'all niggas for watching. I'll see y'all when I see y'all, man.
When this is over, I'm getting out of it. All of it. When I do,